wants him in the games until he dies playing. Acknowledge.
Acknowledged. Master Control.
End of line.
Today's episode of Glen's Retro Show is brought to you by DNA Dimension Designs, the best custom retro gaming decals in the game. Period. Also now available, Glen's Retroware. T-shirts, jackets, mugs, carrying bags, and lots of other items. Show your support for Glen's Retro Show and wear something with style.
I'm cold.
Oh, little piggy, let me in. Well. Oop. Hey, Megan, man, what's up? Listen, take it easy. I still got a headache from last time from Lucille. Yeah, I did have some fun with this one. But I'm bored. Lucille's bored. Are you gonna help me out? Or are you gonna help out Lucille? What can you do for me, Glen? We're friends, right? Okay, well, maybe I can modify the Multi-Cade to play some other things. I gotta try and maybe hack into their server or something like that. Look here. I want some new games, and I want them now. Are we on the same page? Yeah, it's not a problem. I'll get right on it. Well, that sounds great, Glen. Hook a brother up! Now.
Got a pirate program here.
Come on, it's gotta be in there somewhere.
You're in trouble, program. Make it easier to install. Who's your user?
Forget it! It's for high and mighty master control! You are making me talk!
Suit yourself. End of line.
Damn it!
Thank you for joining me on today's edition of Glen's Retro Show. Today has to be one of the most requested videos to make I've had since I probably started my channel. And it actually involves Arcade. Now up here are the newer Arcade 6-inch units, which are basically NES on a chip. They emulate a Nintendo Entertainment System, they throw one or two of their ROMs on there, and they sell those games. And they're actually not too bad. For $24, I'm going to be honest, I do enjoy them. I do have some issues with Galaga, which I've expressed more than enough times. But overall, they're not too bad for the price point. But they're still not the true arcade versions of the game. And pretty much no one's doing that right now. Until recently. Arcade actually did release their 10-inch unit. And this unit here is the Data East Classics. And it actually runs 34 Data East arcade ROMs on here. Not emulated Nintendo or Sega. They were actual arcade ROMs. And inside here is actually a machine running Android 4.4.2. A friend of mine by the name of Nick Beal found out how to get inside here and crack the operating system and load other emulators on here. And that's what I'm going to show you here today. How to take this, which, you know, it does have some nice games on it. There's only a few in here that I particularly like. So I wanted to put more on there. So I'm going to show you, thanks to Nick, how to take this guy here, and not too hard. There's no soldering involved, just a little bit of your time and effort to make some changes to it. But you can turn that into my arcade Glen-Cade. You can see here we're running Donkey Kong Jr. I have a few hundred ROMs installed in here right now. And I did make some new artwork, just preliminary artwork, just to really try out the fitting and so forth. But I think it came out pretty good. And right now we have MAME on here, NES emulation, Sega emulation on here. It wasn't very hard to do, just again some time. You don't need too many items, definitely no soldering involved. And you can convert these fairly easily. So if you can get these on the low end, about $55 shipped. The high end's $100 at Arcade's own website, which I think is a little weird. They charge the most out of everybody. But if you can get these at a fairly good price, and you don't have any soldering skills, and you do want to make yourself a small little arcade machine, and you don't want to wait for the next version of Arcade's Namco edition, well, you can get started right now in this episode. So without any further ado, and before Negan comes back and bashes my head in with his bat again, let's see how we can convert this. Let's go.
Okay, here we have the Arcade Data East 10-inch Classic, which does have basically an Android operating system in here. And unfortunately, to get inside to make any modifications to this unit, we need to remove these decals. Arcade seems to be really keen on putting screws underneath their decals, which is bad, or a pain, I should say. But the good news is they do, on all their products, tend to use very high quality decals. They're very well laminated and thick, which means we're going to be able to remove these decals if you take your time without damaging them in any way, shape, or form, and you can even reapply them if you wanted to. I'm going to be making different decals myself, but you can see even here how thick they are, and with a little patience and time, any one of these will be removable and replaceable without having any creases or damage to the decal itself, which is kind of nice. Still would be easier if they didn't put the screws behind it at all, but since they did, it's good to know that we can gain access to them fairly easily. Definitely easier than other manufacturers, that's for sure. So here we have the unit. Just put it down on a nice piece of cloth so nothing gets scratched. You are going to need a hair dryer, which we'll get in a moment here. But you can see the decal itself's got a nice shine. They did a nice job with it. So some people want to keep it looking stock. You can definitely do so, even after this modification. So here I have a hair dryer here. I have it on high heat and also high speed. I'm just going to take the hair dryer and just run it across one side for a while. You don't want to make it so it's super hot. We definitely want it hot enough where it starts loosening the adhesive. And all you can do, you'll know, even with a finger, you can start to pull up a corner. You can see here, even though there's a little bend, it's not creasing, and it's still coming up in one solid piece. So this will all come off very easily. And again, so just put something under here. Be careful though, if you're using something sharp, that you don't actually put an indentation or tear it. I mean, it's always possible to do so. But if you take your time and just leverage it a little bit, with the hair dryer, you'll be able to work it up slowly, bit by bit. Now it looks like here I may have did some damage, but believe it or not, I did not. It's just, I guess, the heat on maybe on the head of the screwdriver, but there was definitely no marks on the decal. And you can see once you heat it up, there's almost no residue. There's a little bit right here, not much, because I probably didn't use the heat down here, hairdryer long enough. You can see it comes in fairly clean, and you can see there's no real deformity in the decal, and it's still tacky. So it's always possible to put it back down in place. And you can see right here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 screws they put on each side. A little glue left here, a little here, not much. Just spots where I probably didn't use enough heat. But you can see other than that, it came off very clean. And same with the other side. Just a couple spots that I went a little faster on the second side. But just a little Windex and maybe a magic eraser or something like that. We'll take that right off. Or even just like some rubbing alcohol. We'll take it off. And I also took off the decal here because it actually wasn't sitting on right anyway. And on the top. I didn't change this one because it's still technically my arcade. So I have no problem leaving that on here. And this also looks fairly nice. If I change my mind in the future again, just heat this up with a hairdryer. You have to be a little more careful with this one because there is plastic here. So you probably want to not use the highest heat, maybe just a medium heat with a little longer timer on the edges to get that to release. But the rest of them, there'll be no problem. High heat and hot air, and it'll come off. So you can see just very little glue stayed on board. It's fairly simple to get that all off. Then it's just a matter of fact of taking out all your screws and not losing them. Now technically, you can really just move 1, 2, 3 on this side and the other side, and the back panel will technically slide out. I didn't end up taking all off, but again, you probably could just take off these 3 and not have to take out the rest. But as you can see, I did take out all the screws, and there's a little divot here. As you can see it here and here. That goes in these little slots. You can see, when you take out these screws, it's just 1, 2, 3. These others won't be affected, so you can technically pop this off without doing any more. So in theory, you can really just heat this part of the decal here and fold it back gently, get these screws out, not even take the decal off entirely at all, and then put the decal back in place and use the rear screws to hold it in place. The only thing I noticed was the top, it gets a little separated because this screw really makes it firm down here. But it's an option if you want easy access back and forth without having to keep removing your decal. And of course the same thing to the other side. And you see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 screws on the back. You can take them out. And then it simply pulls apart fairly easily. But do be careful because you have the power jack which feeds to this little zip connector. So you can always pull this out. But the speaker itself goes back here, and that's not with a zip. It's actually soldered on board. So if you want more room to work, you can unpop this, but you're going to have to desolder this. I simply moved it to a side. It wasn't really a problem for me. And now that we have it open, we can now get to the heart of modifying this unit to run basically Android versions of emulators. And let's get started. Okay, so once you get the side art off of the machine, you can see you can take off the panels here. I only took off the one, took out all the screws, and took out the screws in the back of the unit here. So we'll flip it around here. We see it's currently plugged in for power, obviously. And we're just going to separate this here to open it up carefully because there are some wires that continue through here. You have the cable that's going to go to your external microphone, actually external speakers, and the volume control. There's the actual internal speaker, this wire here. This is the only one that, if you want room, you're going to have to desolder it from the speaker. Everything else here will be little quick connect cables. And your power jack down here. Now I've already opened this up, obviously, and there are only 3 screws. There's a screw here, and one down below. And you're going to have to take out these 2 top screws because you need access to this right here. See if I can zoom in a little bit here. Let's try this again. This is the internal micro USB header, and that's where all the magic's going to happen. So there's a couple things we need to do to gain access to the operating system on here, which is Android 4.2.2 that's running on here. There's 2 things you're going to need. We're going to need a mouse. Let's see, I have a mouse here. And where's my other guy here? This is what's called an Otg cable. You can see right here. It's got a micro male connector on one side and a female standard USB on this side. So what we're going to do is we're going to be plugging this into, if I get a good shot of it here, there we go. This is going to be plugged into here. So we'll have a mouse cursor appearing on here to get us access to what we need to do here. We basically need to put this into debugging mode,
Once in debugging mode, we won't need this. Well, probably a little bit, but not so much. After this would be a regular, like an Android phone cable, to connect this here through this port to our PC and use Adb to make the magic happen. So I'm going to put the phone in the mount over here so we can kind of see what we're doing. Okay, so I'm going to try and turn this as easily as I can. Like I said, if you want more room to work, you can disconnect this and desolder the speaker here. This will stay out of the way. And you can also unscrew these two screws, take the power out of the way. But you probably can get away without having to do all that. But you're definitely going to have to remove the screw here and the screw here and loosen the one on the bottom over here, just so that we can get access to this connector here, which is the most important part. So first thing we're going to do is not break anything. There we go. We're going to take this cable here and very carefully we're going to plug that into the connector. I'm actually going to plug the mouse in first. It'll make it easier. My mouse connector here, and we're just going to plug this in very gently and carefully, like so. See if we can see over here a little bit better. Just going to plug that in like so, and when that's done, when that's connected, we'll turn it back to the front carefully. Now it's very tiny. Let's see if I can zoom in a little bit here. See if you can see that mouse. Where's that mouse hiding on there? If you can see it, the mouse is. There we go. There is a mouse. Now, what we're going to do is we need to get access to the operating system. Right now, we're in the the main menu for the 34 games that are built in. Now that we have a mouse, I'm just going to left click once and it brings up a menu. All I'm going to do is go to, well, it's two things. We can do settings or exit. I'm going to try hitting exit and didn't do anything. So what we need to do is go into settings. So do it again, hitting settings, and you can see we have a whole bunch of options here. And I'm hoping you can, it's a little hard to see even on the main screen. So hopefully the camera can really see what we're doing here. We need to go down to advanced right here. And we have to look here for USB debugging mode. And we can use a scroll wheel on the mouse. And it's right here. Debug mode. And now there's a check mark. That's it. Now that that's done, we can now remove the mouse for now. We'll use it again later. But we can use the mouse and take it out and plug in a standard USB cable. That'll give us, here we go over here. I got so many cables all over the place. Is it still plugged in? This little guy right here. We're now going to plug this into our computer. So I'm going to disconnect the mouse. So I have to again be very careful. Disconnecting the Otg cable here. Unplug that. We'll zoom back at it for a second. So we're unplugging the Otg cable. And we're going to plug in a standard USB cable here. And this is connected to a USB 2.0 port, but it should be okay in a 3.0 port as well. Okay, now that that's done, we're now going to transfer from this camera here over to recording on my computer screen. So let's do that now. Okay, so you can see here we still have our game still running the original code that came with the Multi-Cade 34-in-1. These are all Data East classics, but we want to add more. Okay, so you can see here we have the Multi-Cade with the Data East classics. There's about 34 in here. Now, from what I can tell, there's only about 1 GB of storage internally on this, which again will be fine to run the emulators we're going to put on here. And to put on some classic games, Donkey Kong, Space Invaders, stuff like that. You can probably fit a couple larger ones, but again, you have 1 GB of RAM. Now, I'll do another video later on. I'm sure there'll be a way that we can use the Otg cable and put an external USB thumb drive to add more games. But we're going to just start getting this thing hacked. Okay, so you can see here, the first thing we're going to actually run is this program right here, which is an Adb fast boot. It's got the drivers we need. I'm just going to run this and use the default options that are in it. And we don't have to create a desktop icon. And we're going to launch it. So we just get basically a command line interface here, which is fine. And we have a list of commands here that I have that will need to start getting access to it. First thing we want to do is make sure the server is running. So I'm going to copy this command here, adb start-server. Do a copy, right click, paste, hit enter. You see it was not running, but it's running now. It says it was successful. Next thing we want to make sure is that it actually sees my device. This was a problem I was having before trying to get it to be seen. I believe now that's been corrected. So we're going to paste that. It's ADB devices. And there it is. So right now, this is saying that I am now talking to the hardware inside here, which is great. Now, the first thing I want to do is I need to escape this menu system that's in here. We need to unlock that. And the way to do that is with a program called Nova Launcher. Now, you can probably use other launchers, but this is the one that we're going to use here. So basically what this command is, we're going to tell it to install the Nova Launcher. What we need to do is, just a little piece of information. Let me go with some of these, the ROMs here. There are ROMs. You can see right here, this has donkey space, Kong space. This does not seem to like any type of spaces. So I had to simply put a little underscore. So if you have any spaces, either take the space out or put an underscore, or the files will not copy at all. Now, what I'm going to do is just to make it easier. If you have the programs in this directory, it'll make it easier. So I'm just going to go here to my C drive, which is over here, and I'm going to go to my Adb Fast Boot, which should be actually a little bit lower, I think. Under x86. There we go, minimum. So inside here, you can see I have some files in here now. The Nova Launcher is here. So we're going to move this out of the way just for a moment. There we go. And go back to here. So I'm going to type in the command right here. I'm going to install this, and this particular Nova Launcher is in the directory for this. So no special mapping is needed other than that. There we go. When I hit enter, you can see very quickly it copied it and is dumping it inside the flash memory inside here. So there's the package. It's actually installing. This oblique cursor means it's actually doing some work, and it's success. So if I reboot this machine now with a command, it should actually go to the Nova Launcher, not to this. So let's see. My next command I'm going to do is right here, which is Adb Reboot. Hit enter. Okay, so there are two options you're going to see here. There's a top option, which is Data East, which is the built-in emulator, and the bottom is Nova Launcher. So I'm going to use my joystick and go down to Nova Launcher, which of course it doesn't work. So what we're going to do is at this point, I'm going to temporarily disconnect the USB from the computer and reconnect our mouse. Okay, so I'm going to unconnect the micro USB, and I'm going to reconnect the Otg cable with my mouse. Very carefully. There we go. And you can see I have a mouse again. Now I'm going to pick Nova Launcher and always. You could pick just once, I guess, but it'll ask every time. But I want it to always do it. And you can pretty much skip all these steps here. It's just a couple of setup instructions. Keep the color the way it is. You can change this all later anyway. And you can see we now have the desktop for Android version version 4.2.2. So you can see you can drag the screen over. You have this web browser that's not going to work. You have all this Google stuff. None of this stuff's going to work. And actually, the keyboard commands and joystick has some functionality in here. You can see that it's just not set up correctly yet. We can drag the screen over. Now, what we need to do is find the applications folder. So sometimes you have to reboot it a second time for it to come up. So we're going to have to do that. And this way, I'm going to do it with just a hard power off. So I'm going to turn the machine off, count to 2, turn it back on. And hopefully this time we'll see the app drawer. And there it is. So if we look up here now, we have an app drawer. So if I click on that, here's everything that's currently built in the system. And a lot of stuff that you don't need. There's a browser, there's downloads, calendar, email. All this stuff will stop the services on here, just give you more performance. But now if I was to click on this here, it's going to rerun the emulator. And there it is. Bad news. Now we're going to have to actually uninstall this if you want to play other emulator games, because this one's kind of hard-coded to this menu. But that's okay in my opinion. Now to get out of it, I hit the settings, I didn't want to do that. You go back and see if it'll let me exit this time. See, it doesn't let you exit once you go in. So the only thing we can do again is power off and back on, which we're going to do right now. Okay, so let's make some changes here. So we're going to go back up here and go to our settings. Oops. So if we go into settings, we can do some things. There's no built-in Wi-Fi, so that's pointless. But you go into data storage to see what we have here. Doesn't really show us anything. Let's go back. So it's under more. Airplane mode, another stuff here we're going to need. Sound, let's click on that. That's all fine. Display. Now what's kind of neat about this, you can go into wallpaper, right, and go to live wallpapers, and you can pick a live wallpaper to put on your desktop. So let's pick one from here. What do we want to use? Let's see what this does here. Boom. And you can put a nice beautiful sky. That actually looks pretty nice, so we're going to leave that. So we'll set as wallpaper. So if I go back, you can see our icons are now on the desktop. Now I don't need to see this globe icon. Let's see if we can get rid of this. I'm going to hold down the left button. Let's try it again. Hold down the left button, and I'm going to pick remove. We don't need to see that. Hold down the left button, remove. That's gone too. So we don't need to see those things. Now I don't think I can get rid of this one, but I'll try. Oh, good. All right. So we can't get rid of the Google at the top, unfortunately. That's okay. We're going to keep this icon as a Nova launcher. So let's go back in here and back under settings. That was display. And there's other options in here as well. I don't think anything here we're going to need. We can try and change our font size to larger to make it hopefully easier to see. There we go. That's a little bit easier on the eyes. And I don't think there's anything else we need in here, so we'll go back out of here. There's storage. And you can see here the total storage is only about 1 gigabyte. There's a 752 megabytes available. So that's all the space we're going to have internally to put any applications and ROM. So there's not a ton of playroom in here, but you'll definitely be able to put in some quality games in here above the 34 that's included. So you can see right here we're using this much space, but we have some room. Now under apps, you can see we have all these things in here. We're going to end up removing the Data East one. There's some other things in here. Nova Launcher we're going to keep, obviously. Security, I don't think we carry anything in here. We don't want a screen lock. There's nothing else we really need in here. Developer options, just double check, make sure the debugging mode, so there it is, it's still on. We've tried it on and off a couple of times, but that's still working, which is awesome. Alright, so let's just, I'm going to check a look at one thing real quick here. Let's go back into settings. Where'd you go? Settings. I'm blind. Settings. Go all the way to the bottom. About tablet. Let's see what it tells us here. It's a dual-core A23 processor, all-winter, version 4.4.2 for the Android operating system. So, not too bad. I mean, it's good enough for what we're going to be using it for. Again, there's a file manager in here, so you can always add, attach a mouse later on and manually copy ROMs over USB. But for right now, we're going to be dropping them in via the ADB. Now, again, when we uninstall the MAME for Droid, we will not lose the ROM directory. That's going to stay, so all the ROMs in here we're going to be able to keep. So if I go into MAME for Droid and go down a little bit, There's a ROM directory. Here's all the ROMs that are officially licensed. And what's kind of interesting, they have BIOS files in here for a lot of other systems, which I found was kind of interesting. I don't know if they have the licenses for all those BIOS files that are on here, but nevertheless, they are on here. Let's go back out. Okay, so basically, we did everything we need to do for right now. And here, again, we'll come back later. We can, stop all these other services for things that aren't really needed, like sound recorder. You don't really need those type of things. I wonder if we just do it right now. Oops, wrong button. So we're going to hold on sound recorder, app info. So we can force stop, yes, and then disable. That'll free up some resources. And let's go out here now. You can see it's now removed from the menu. You might want to leave the video player here, I guess, but what do we need people for? So on the left button, app info, force stop, okay, disable, okay, and it's also gone from the menu. Browser, I guess you can keep that. Calendar, camera, there's no camera, so we don't need to have that on here. And I hit the wrong button again. Left button, app info, force stop, okay, disable, okay, and it is gone. Music, there's a speaker, I guess you can listen to that. Movie studio, I don't think we need that. Hold the button, app info, force stop, okay, disable, okay, and it is also gone, so freeing some space. Email, don't need that. I hit one on the desktop, so let's remove. Go back here. App info, force stop, okay, disable, okay, goodbye, and gone. So calculator, calendar, clock, sure, downloads. I guess everything else here can pretty much stay. What I'm going to do right now is we need to actually go back. Look at these nice clouds. That is so nice. We're going to go back to the USB cable, and now I'm going to start to remove the main version that's on here, so we can install a new version that will play more than what's currently on the system. Here, unplug our cable, like so, and find our USB cable, which is here somewhere. There it is. We're going to plug you back into our little jack in here. Gently, of course. Get all the confirmation tone. Okay, now that we reconnected our USB cable, the next thing we need to start doing is first making sure that we're talking to it. So let me go back down here. So I scroll down to the bottom here. There we go. So this was giving me a listing of devices. We can see again the device is in fact connected and talking, which is good. So the next thing we want to do is start installing some applications. Now, when we look at the applications, we can see here I got MAME, I got a Mega Drive one, but you can see there's a space here. This is going to fail. I want you to see the error message you get. All these have to be contiguous. There has to be either a no space or a little dash. Something has to be in. For some reason, it won't copy otherwise. So we'll get to that in a second. So now that we're seeing that we're connected, we can get a listing of all the different applications that are in here. So if I copy this command right here, these are all the programs that are listed into this particular computer. Now there's probably some things here you do not need. Now here's the one we just installed, the launcher. This one right here is one we just installed. But there's probably like, do we need the calculator? Well, or a calendar? If you don't need it, you can uninstall it, and that'll free up some space in the internal flash. So contacts can be removed. That'll free up some space in the internal flash, and so on. Phone, probably don't need that. But again, anything you're doing here is at your own risk. I'm not responsible for any damage, malfunctions, asteroid impacts that happens from you doing stuff to this particular machine. Okay, I'm just showing you for educational purposes. So now that we know we have all those packages in here, we want to install the new ones, but you can't install the new MAME until the old MAME goes away. And like I said before, when you do uninstall the MAME here, it will not remove the ROMs, the legal ROMs that are on this particular machine. Now I say legal ROMs in quotations because there are BIOS files for just about every system that MAME supports, and I don't know if they paid licensing fees for all the BIOS files that are on here,
but maybe they did. I can't say one way or the other. But looking right here, I'm going to mark this right here. Here's a file we need to get off. Let's try this again. Start right here. So this is a file that has to come off. It's got to be uninstalled. So I'm going to copy this like so. And then before we go down here, we need to try to uninstall it. And I probably shouldn't have copied that just yet, because first I need to do something else first. We need to find out what directory it's in. So if you didn't know what directory is in, you could type this command here, and let's bring it all the way down. There we go. So this command here will just tell us where the file is in the operating system, and that's where the package is. There's a preload pack, and that's the directory that it's in. So now we're ready to remove it. Now there's two things you could do. You can try and save the built-in copy first, which you probably should try and do anyway. This command right here. So adb pull is going to pull that pack off the system and make it a local copy for us on the computer. This way, if something goes wrong, you can always put it back. So it's just adb pull and the directory and the pack, and then just sucking it back down to our local machine. And you see, it doesn't take long. Even USB 2.0, these files are not very big. Boom, and it is done. So the next thing we want to do is actually remove it. Okay, so to remove it, we're going to use an Adb Uninstall. Okay, so with this command right here, we'll remove the version of MAME that's on here so we can put a new version on. So success, boom, it is gone. Nice. The next thing we want to start doing is installing the new games, the new emulators on here. And we'll start with the MAME for Droid. Now I'm going to show you, actually I can't show you because right now the mouse is disconnected. Let's see if the joystick will get over to the file I want to get to here. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It just depends. Hit the right buttons, there we go. So we can see now in our listing, MAME is gone. It is no longer here. But if we get into the file manager, which I'd be lucky if I can actually get to it with a joystick, doesn't always work. We'll check it out later. The ROMs themselves are in fact still there, so I'm not really concerned about it. Trust me, they're there. So now we're going to install the new version of MAME, and to do that, we're going to use this command right here. So we'll copy it, go back up here, and we're going to paste it, and this will now install a new version of MAME. Except I have a typo. Okay, let's try that again. We'll go up here, we're going to take out the N, take this part out right here. Boom. That was for nMAME, was for new MAME, so I didn't forget, but I didn't take it out of the file here. So we're now copying our new MAME up, and installing the package. And it says success, which is always a good thing to see. Success. So let's see if we can get into the directory here. And there it is. MAME for Droid. And I don't know if I can get to it again with the joystick. We have to set up. We still have to set up the joystick commands. We'll do that in a little bit. So MAME for Droid is now officially on there. So let's install another one. Now I'm going to show you the one that's going to fail. So let's take again the install part. I'm going to take this part right here, but we're going to try to install this one right here, which is the MAME. I'm sorry, which is the Mega Drive with a space in it. So let's copy that, come up here, and I paste it. See, there's a space and a space. If I hit enter on that, you get an error. It doesn't work. It doesn't understand it for some reason. So we're going to go in here, and we're going to go under here and put a little dash there, and a little dash there. Rename it. Of course. I wouldn't have done it otherwise. Go back up here and we'll do the same thing. We'll put a little dash under here. And a little dash under here. Hit again. And there it goes. Piece of cake. So we now have a Mega Drive installed. So let's now go back to the install. Did I go past it already? Too quick. Yeah, I'll do it this way. Copy it again from here. So our Adb install. Next we'll do the NES. There we go. Gonna copy the NES. Copy. Make a space. Paste it. And I screwed something up there. So what happened? We do Adb install, NES. I have a space. See, I didn't even see that. There was a space between EMU and free. We're going to fix that. So you just have to pay attention when you're doing these file namings, because obviously I did not. So let's go back. Delete that, put that there, boom, and there it goes. Piece of cake and very fast. Success. So again, we'll go Adb install. And again, you should be able to run any emulator that's on Android. For some reason, though, Final Burn Alpha does not. And I haven't figured out why yet. But that's okay. So we did MAME, Mega Drive, NES, and I'm going to install the SNES pack as well. I have no idea how well it's going to run, or if I even have a ROM to try on it right now. Let's copy that. Paste. And that's it. So you can see, as I was doing it, it installed the SNES, it installed NES, the MAME is installed, so they're all actually there. But right now there's no, that's not true, there are some ROMs. There's ROMs that the MAME 4 Droid already had. We're going to add a couple more. So to do that, it's basically the same thing. First thing I need to do, though, is get to my ROMs, which I'm going to have a couple in here. And same principle. See this Donkey Kong? There is a space and a space. That's not going to work. It has to be all contiguous. And depending on the emulator, some will take them as zips, some will not. But I'm going to just take, right now, we'll just take all these, just to make it easy on myself. And again, putting it in the same directory as my application, just to make it easier to copy them over. Write a long file name. Okay? So it's going to be almost the same thing. But when I'm installing them, we're copying them somewhere, right? So we're going to go down a little bit down here. And the ROMs for the MAME for Droid is here. SD card, MAME for Droid ROMs. Now you can make, again, when you have your mouse connected over here, you can make a directory and put your other ROMs in it. For right now, I'm going to take the other ROMs and simply put them right into the SD card directory itself. And again, you can move them later. It's not a big deal. But for right now, we're going to copy some files. So this command is a little bit different. So here it is right here. It's going to be adb space push the ROM name, and that's where it's going to stick it. It's going to stick it in SD card, MAME for Droid ROMs. So the initial one, let's just copy this here, like so, and paste it like so. Now what we need to do at this point is figure which game we're going to copy over first. That is a, let's take Pac-Man. The first one up on here. Actually, there is this one right here. So the first thing we're going to take, I think, is Tomb. This is a NES game from CollectorVision. And let me tell you guys something right now. If you have not played anything from CollectorVision, he makes quality titles. You want to check out his stuff. This is a fantastic game. So I'm going to go back here and just go back to where it says ROM name. Right? I'm going to take this out, like so. And I'm going to paste in the ROM name. And I'm going to press enter. It was copied. So on the SD card in this machine right now, in the main directory, that ROM has now been copied. Another game, let's see another game here that's for like the NES. I think this one right here, Donkey Kong for the NES. We'll copy that over as well. You want to copy that. And actually, I got to copy the command first. So let's go back up here. If you press the up arrow, your last one will be put in. We'll simply take out the name, like so. And we'll do a paste with the right click once again. And that was copied as well, very, very fast. So that was copying it directly to the SD card. The other games we want to copy actually into the MAME directory, okay? Just to make it easier. So, well, playing, I guess, the MAME games anyway. So for this time, we are going to use this particular command here. So let's copy it. Actually, the other games, I wasn't even paying attention. So those other games I did copy directly into the MAME for Droid ROMs directory, which we can always move them out later. That was my fault. I did not change it. When you do things as quick as you try to get them posted, sometimes you make mistakes. But again, we'll use a file manager. We'll find the ROMs. We'll drag them out. It's not a big deal. So let's go back over to here. Put our directory back up. And this time we're going to pick Pac-Man, like so. So backspace to here. Remove it. And right click to paste. Copied. Now the Pac-Man didn't work. I think it's an incomplete ROM set, so we're going to pass Pac-Man for just right now. But Space Invader still works, so I want to copy him over. You want to make sure you're getting, the full ROMs for this version of MAME. Otherwise, it's possible they're not going to work. But that's with any version of MAME, not necessarily strictly to here. So I'm going to paste that in. Copied. And of course we want to take the arcade Donkey Kong. Yeah, it's definitely a better version over the NES, which is still a pretty good version. Can't complain about that. Up arrow to retype our line. Okay, we're going to move all this and right click, paste, and hit enter. Okay, so we've got a bunch of new ROMs on here, new emulators on here for right now, just as a test. We're not going to go super crazy. Let's get this out of my way. Get that out of my way, and out of my way, and out of my way, and there we go. So what we're going to do now is just reboot the machine, just because. I feel like it's not necessary, but I'm going to do it anyway, because I'm that kind of guy. Boop, and the machine should reboot. Now once again, we're going to disconnect the standard USB cable to the computer and put the Otg cable in with the mouse. And when our mouse is back in, we should get a little arrow, and there's the little arrow, you can see it now. Although this is very nice and pretty, I want to have the emulators right on the desktop for easy access. So I'm going to go into here, I'm going to hold down the mouse button, and come on, I want to put it on the desktop. There we go. Boom. There's one. Where's our next one? Here's next one. 2. Where's my next one? Although we didn't put any ROMs in yet for the SNES. And where's my Mega Drive? Boom. Actually, we didn't put any for Mega Drive either. That's okay. We have some for our MAME, and we can put them in any order that you like. Put them up in the clouds. Come on. There we go. Because I was really trying to go here to try and rename it. Edit. That's all we need. Nothing crazy. Much nicer, much shorter. And then, let's see, that's fine there, that's fine there. Okay, so now that we have it here, technically we can use this joystick. See? There we go. So you won't need to use the mouse in the future. You can select everything with the joystick. So we're going to go now and set the MAME up here to use all the coins, the back, start, and all the buttons on here. So let's do that now. So you can see right now inside the menu, the down arrow, or you can't really see it on one of the screens, maybe on the other one you can. The joystick's not working because it's not really set up in MAME yet for the settings. Now, I don't know if you can see, it's very dark, but there's actually 4 very tiny texts in the corners here. And I believe this one here is going to be my settings. Maybe the top one. Here we go. So the top one, I'm going to do that again so we can see it. Up in this corner right here, the very top right, there's a small white line, and then we're going to go into settings. So here's where we can change all different things in MAME.
So I haven't been in here much myself, so I'm going to go through this really quick together. Game filter emulation. I'm assuming input will be our controls. Let's see. Touch controller, select to open touch controller options. Okay. Can we make it not there? Let's see. We want to hide. Whoop. Cancel. Hide stick. That's for sure. We want to hide the stick. I do want to save changes. See, we got rid of the joystick, but the two buttons are still here. So let's go back and back in here, back in the settings. Because it's on here. Disable to hide the touch controller. Yes. There we go. Yay! Okay, so our buttons are gone, but we still need to set up the actual controls that are on here. But now you see those little, well, you couldn't see maybe, those 4 lines up here, they're now gone. So now you gotta just have to guess in this area, upper right, hit it to get your settings, which is okay. So now we need to somehow set up the input for the actual joystick. Maybe this is actually under input. Let's see, touch controller, select to open the touch controller options. Define keys, player 1. Okay, this might be it, let's see. Alright, that should do it. So now, we should be able to joystick. There it goes, our joystick works. Look at that. So we can now pick our games, and let's pick something that we put in. Well, let's look at the one that was built in already. Burger Time. Burger Time was already part of the ROMs that are on here. As you can see, it did not get taken out. So we're going to select it with the A button. No. Return to prior menu. I bet you'll be the B button. Nope. Yes, B button. So I took off the menu, so it goes right into the ROM. We'll insert some coins. We can start the game. So nothing amazing yet, because this was actually already on the machine. But somehow it feels nicer. Although the joystick still can use some work. That might be a mod from another day to get the controls to be a little bit better. When you're done playing, hit the back button, and you have a choice. Do you want to quit, yes or no? I'm going to say yes. And now let's pick something else. Let's try and find one of the games we installed. Look at that. The arcade Donkey Kong. Let's hit the button on it. Now, on the back of the my arcade, there's a volume control, and if you press it, you see it still works. You can turn the volume down or go all the way up to maximum. So we're going to set it at maximum, throw a coin in, and let's try out some arcade Donkey Kong on the My Arcade 10-inch. There is some cracking noise you can hear in there, but the volume's at maximum. Might be too much for the speaker. It also could be the emulator itself. Again, this is all very new. The only way to know is to try other emulators and see what happens. Try different settings, different audio sound sample options. Ooh! And we're going to clear the level. Ah! Of course. So close. That Donkey Kong has no mercy. So close. Again, the joystick here works, but it's not the most precise. And I have, oh man, the Donkey Kong. I may actually go in and start putting some micro switches in this. I'm not sure yet. It's new, maybe they're a little tight. I just don't feel that the pads they're using here is the most, especially going up. Oh, it doesn't want to go up. There we go. Whoa! You almost knocked me in the head with that one. I will say the buttons for jumping are pretty good, but the up just doesn't want to go up. Oh my god. I made it though. Alright, chickens. I am in bad shape. Oh, I'm in real bad shape. Oh! Yeah, I was trapped. So once again, hit the back button, and yes, we can go out. And let's find another one we installed, which was, I believe, Junior Pac-Man. Pac-and-Pal. Okay, Pac-and-Pal we installed. And there it is. So let's go put in a coin and start. The controls really are just not the best. I mean, they get it done, but you really have to be so precise. There's no forgiveness with this joystick, I'll tell you that right now. Come on, oh. Left. Up. Get it back again. Exit the game, we'll say yes. Okay, so what we're going to do is exit out of here, and let's see if we can do that with this button here, back, and then yes. We're back on our main screen. Now before we actually go into the NES, I'm going to show you how we're going to move the ROMs that we put in there by mistake. So we'll go here, we'll go to the File Manager. You can see the SD card, and we'll go down to MAME for Droid. ROMs. Go back again, try and go into here, paste. Oh my god, that was a pain. Let's do the other one. Go back to MAME for Droid, go to ROMs, go all the way down, find our other file. There it is. Gonna hold the left button down, move cut. Go back. I think we put it under music. Yes. Paste. Okay. Now that's finally done. Go out of here. Okay, next we're going to use the joystick to pick the NES emulator. Let's start that up. We'll load a game. Oops, wrong way. Try that again. Load a game. Got to pick our directory, which I think they're going to be right on the SD card, if I'm not mistaken. There we go. Oh, music. We put them in music. That's right. Music. Let's try. Now this game here, Tomb, is from Collector Vision. We're going to restart the game. If you've never played a game from Collector Vision, you really need to try one. Now, Collector Vision actually bought the rights to the name Acclaim, so I guess that's part of that as well. Let's lower the volume just a smidgen. There we go. Okay, we continue along. Let's do a new game. So you see it runs very well, very crisp screen. Excellent. I'm sure Collector Vision and Acclaim Montreal will be very, very happy with this. Let's see if we can go back. We are going to exit, so I'm going to say yes. There we go. Let's try the Donkey Kong ROM. Oops. Figure all these controls here. I'm doing yes, I do want to exit. I'm going to load a game. So that's really it. I'll load a couple more games here. We'll try out more. But all you need to do at this point is just close up the back of the unit, put some decals back on it, and you're done. You've hacked your 10-inch Multi-Cade to be more than just the 34 games are built in, and you can well beat the new one that's going to have the Namco classics on it, because you will have the ability to put them on already, including Miss Pac-Man, which they are not including, at least so far they're not including on the new Namco 10-inch. Oh. Now, what I would recommend doing is leaving the standard Android cable. Dang! I'll make a small hole in the back of the unit and let the cable dangle out, so you can always connect it to your computer and add more games to take games off as needed. Let's go lay back out of here. Yes, I do. Let me out. Let me out. Oh my goodness. I said yes. And that is it. We're back on the clouds. Awesome. Okay, this was a very long episode, but there was a lot to cover in here. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends about my channel and about this little unit right here that you can modify and have some pretty good games running on it. And this is not the end of the modifications for this. Now, right now, the Multi-Cade 10-inch runs on external power only, 5 volts. So in future videos, we'll definitely be seeing ways to modify it to have not only external power, but to run it self-contained with a battery, and some other things I have planned in the future. So if you want to stay abreast of all the new things happening on my channel, including modifications on the 10-inch Multi-Cade, and you haven't done so already, please subscribe so you never miss an episode. Again, thank you for spending your time with me today. I hope you enjoyed the video, and remember everyone, game on.
Page. Remember, don't admire people too much. They'll disappoint you.
Sit, Blue Blue, sit. Good dog.